Now they hosted on the 40 acres on campus grounds. We gather round, discussing goals and dreams and life's adventures. The Texas Longhorns, they're the talk of the town. High castles of the 40 acres, where we dive deep into the game day stories, from touchdowns to heartbreakers. We discuss it all, Texas Longhorns glory. There we gather round each Thursday night, talking sports, it's so alright. From football to basketball, baseball to softball, Tim Wayne and Harry, we cover it all. Sports talk is our passion, our delight. Thursday night at 8:30, we unite. We discuss the scores, the plays, the teams you might. Let's dive into the game, let's ignite.
12 conference champions.
Here we are. We have made it. Hello. What's up? What's up? What's up? How you guys doing on a Friday afternoon show? Friday. Sorry about the reschedule last night. I had some scheduling conflicts we had to get around. So, yeah, my name's Harish. This is my boy Tim Wayne. We are the Texas Longhorn Fan Battle podcast. Tim, how you, man?
Man, allergies defeat
prime season.
Got me in a chokehold, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I've been fighting all week. Been struggling to get to work. But I'm here, man. I'm here.
Oh, we're glad you can make it. You're glad we're here to talk more Texas Longhorns. Of course, we are the Texas Longhorn Fan Battle podcast. We talk anything and everything. We really do a focus on football, but we talk about baseball, softball, basketball. And we'll talk some basketball, some women's basketball, as we are 50 minutes away from the tip of the Final Four. The game that we thought Texas would be in, but that did not go as planned, and that's disappointing. But bright future ahead, of course, with the women's ladies program. So very exciting. The men's, we posted this on TikTok earlier this week. Trey Johnson, who's the top men's recruit, scored 15 points as McDonald's All-American game.
Yep.
Including almost the game winning shot.
Right.
So he is a shot taker and a shot maker, which is exactly what this Longhorns basketball team needs. It's one of many things I think that they need. They also need a point guard, who I'm hoping they get in the transfer portal.
Yeah, unfortunately, we lost a point guard over the week, throughout the week here, but I think with the recruits and how things are going, I think it's very possible that Texas bounces back, I do see a bright future. And after we pay the bills, we'll talk more in depth about the Lady Longhorn season because it was definitely a special one for sure.
Yeah, it was a very exciting season. You know, overall, well, minus the baseball team. And shout out to the softball team who plays number 1 OU this weekend. Big series that just kicking off. So, but yeah, let's pay the bills and let's dive into all of it. So, of course, brought to you by FanBattleSports.com, FanBattleSports.com, where you can talk the latest and greatest about the Mayo Heaton. We like to hyper team every year. Titans, the Texans, who just continue to make moves, the Jaguars, who forgot they had a team, and the Colts, who I also forgot they had a team. So, FanBattleSports.com. If you are a Colts fan, we will actually be live tonight with a guest that we were supposed to have on Tuesday. Kev, if you guys know Kev in the Colts community, he's really huge in the Colts community. So we're excited to have him back on our show. So that'll be about 3 hours from now. But yeah, fanbattlesports.com. Also, you can go there if you are interested in starting your own show. Fill out the contact worksheet. Gives us all the information we need. We'll contact you. We'll set you up with all the pretty graphics, all the things that you need in order to set up your own show. And yeah, fanbattlesports.com. Follow us on Twitter. Tim, we are only, at this moment in time, I believe less than 20 followers away from 2,500.
That's amazing.
We are actually 20. We need 23 followers to get to 2,500 on Twitter. So follow us on Twitter. We appreciate the support. Love you guys. We really appreciate it. Of course, we love talking Texas, everything, right? I don't want to just say football. Texas everything. So, follow us on Twitter at LHFanBattle. Another place we really appreciate the support on. We are 5 subscribers away from 50 subscribers. Man, listen,
just a couple of weeks ago, we were at 29 or something like that.
We were at 29. About a month ago, we were at 5. So, yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to either now live or later on, when you get bored and you want to listen to us, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the good things, share it with your friends, share it with your dog, share it with your neighbor. Share it with the world. So follow us on YouTube, Longhorn Fan Battle. Also follow us on TikTok, Longhorn Fan Battle Podcast. We will get back to uploading daily. We've been kind of busy the last couple of weeks, lots going on. So apologize for not being able to post every single day, but yeah, definitely follow us on those channels. All right, Tim, let's start with the bracket challenge.
Yeah.
You posted the most recent update heading into the weekend. I believe you posted it a couple days ago, yesterday. So President Mumbles 2, JP. I don't know what his Twitter name is, but looks like he's our front runner right now. So JP, he had a 99.9%.
Right.
Correct percentage. That's definitely about 90% points more than mine. So that's fantastic. And you know what? Just looking at the field right now, he's sitting in a really good space. Honestly, anybody that picked Connecticut is sitting pretty right now.
Right.
Really. So by this time next week, we will have reached out to the winner, gotten everything all figured out, and we'll have that announced on the show next week. So good luck to our finalists who has a team in the race still, and may the force be with you. Speaking of forces and May, we are only 3 weeks away from the real countdown of when we will get all the details, and we will have a show. You know what, Tim? Once we know what the date is for the reveal, if they do a stream, I wonder if we can live stream it. And we probably can't show the live stream, or share the live stream. But I wonder if we can react to it in real time.
To the trailer?
Whatever they show. I don't think it's just going to be a trailer. I think they're going to show a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I had a question for you. I wanted to ask you in regards to that. Do you think we find out who the cover athlete is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think we get cover athlete. We get the official game modes. We get the release date. We get who to expect commentary wise. I think you're going to see clips and trailers, and you're going to see you know how EA does their stuff where they show you like little gameplay clips and you have to slow it down to really figure out what they're trying because they're trying to be sneaky. I think you're going to see what recruiting looks like. You're going to see screenshots of Dynasty. You're going to see a lot of things. And then the weeks coming after that, what my guess right now is it's probably going to be mid-May. EA just hit their fiscal year, so April 1st is so they're probably spending the next 2 to 3 weeks finalizing the trailer and the presentation. My guess is that they probably have something already in mind of what they're going to show. So just knowing EA in general, I feel like that's about what they're going to show.
Yeah, what I'm hoping is that I'm hoping we get a little taste of gameplay. I think we do. I would like to see a little taste of gameplay. More likely, I would like to see like some of the iconic entrances that EA has been known to put in the college football games. Virginia Tech, how walking out to Howard's Rock, Notre Dame, LSU, Michigan. When they're going to hit the banner. So I just want to see those and what they look like. As an updated type.
I think graphically, and this was teased out maybe a couple of weeks ago. Graphically, they talked about there were some leaks on the stadium and alpha, and we didn't really talk about it because when they leaked it, that was like 2 years old, maybe.
Yeah.
And so it's probably way different now than it was 2 years ago. Absolutely. I would imagine, and I would hope so. So. Yeah, I'm very intrigued. I'm very interested in seeing what they're going to show. And then you'll get the deep dives, right? You'll get the gameplay deep dive. It's probably the first one. Then you'll get a Dynasty deep dive. What I'm actually interested in, and I'm curious, you play more of the Madden Ultimate Team, so you probably can give some perspective there. But I just started digging into Diamond Dynasty and MLB The Show.
Right.
And I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's the best Ultimate Team out there.
Right. You did mention Diamond Dynasty at launch when the game came out, when MLB The Show came out.
Yeah, I've been kind of timid on trying to do it, but then there's this guy, this YouTuber, Daddy Demu is his name, and he kind of had this No Many Spent track. I was like, whoa, you play a lot. You can get some good stuff in the game. Just like every other pay-to-play based Ultimate Team in the market right now. Yep. It's hard to get some things right unless you pay. Right. That's just the nature of the reality. That every Ultimate Team is experiencing that same challenge. 2K, obviously FIFA, or EAFC, sorry, Madden. I don't really know what NHL is like. I don't really pay attention to that, but it's really good. So I'm very interested to see how different NCAA is going to be, especially with the promise of not too many microtransactions.
Yeah, the great thing about MLB The Show that I've always noticed is that MLB The Show, you can play the game, you don't have to spend a ton of money on it and still have a good time, and that's one of the best things about that game. College football was like that. NCAA 14 was like that. That was the I want to say that was the first year that they introduced the Ultimate Team on there. And there were a ton of things that you could do, right? That you could, gain cards and get packs and stuff like that to get the type of players that you wanted. So I'm hoping that they kind of go back to that. Ultimate Team now it's not bad, but it's not great. No, I take that back. In the last couple of months, it's actually been really, really dope with the cards and the stuff that they put out. We had the Pat McAfee card. Today they released the Roman Reigns card.
Okay. Cool. For WrestleMania.
Yeah. So Roman Reigns got drafted by the Vikings. Before they
did?
Yeah. So here's the crazy story. Roman Reigns came out of Georgia Tech the same year that Calvin Johnson did.
Really?
Calvin Johnson and Roman Reigns played on the same team.
Oh, that's wild.
Right. So when he got drafted, they found out that he had a heart condition. He had a condition, a leukemia. That's when they found out that he had leukemia, so he couldn't play anymore. but he did, he found that out after he got drafted by the Vikings. He also Burt Reynolds.
Yep.
I don't know if you know this, but he played for the Colts before becoming a movie star.
Yeah, and Baltimore Colts.
Right. So what they did was they gave him a card. They gave him a 98 overall halfback card. So it's kind of cool to see what they've done. I'm really interested to see what they do in college football because there's just so many cards and so many different players that are going to be available.
Yeah, it'll be interesting from a NIL perspective, rights perspective, historically who they can get rights and how they get those rights. I imagine it's just at that point if it's historical like that, you just kind of ask them, right? Hey, do you want to be in the game?
I think EA shells out the money for the college athletes.
I'm sure they will. Yeah,
there are way more college athletes than there are, if you think about it, just because of the sheer amount of players that are in college football. There are way more college stars than there are NFL stars.
Yeah. So I don't know if they'll get everyone, but they'll get a very, very good amount.
I think they will get the heavy hitters. You're going to get a Charles Woodson. I think you're going to get Tim Tebow. I think you get players like Eric Krauts, Ndamukong Suh, Reggie Bush, Calvin Johnson,
Peter Warwick.
Yeah, I can see a lot of even newer stars like Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, things like that. Michael Vick. If they get Michael Vick in that game, it is going to be absolutely nuts. Vince Young in the sorts.
There was a Michael Vick card in NCAA 14. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, I do. I remember it.
It was nuts.
My quarterbacks, just a quick quarterback room. My quarterbacks were Vince Young, Michael Vick, and Cam Newton.
Oh, wow.
Those are my quarterbacks.
I don't remember. I don't even think I played Ultimate Team. Like very minimally did I play it back then.
I mean, we were knee deep in Dynasty.
Yeah, we were.
Like you guys.
As were a lot of people.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like, even though at that time, Ultimate Team was still kind of new. It was only like 3-4 years old at that time. So people weren't like heavily invested in it. But I had running backs. I had Cedric Benson. I had Ricky Williams, Barry Sanders. Like I had all types of stuff, man.
I remember a Barry Sanders card. Yeah.
I look forward to it. Oh God, RG3. Oh my God. When they play him, that's gonna be nuts. But yeah, I look forward to it. I can't wait, man. We're less than a month away. This week's gone by really quick, man.
I mean, it's Friday, right? So basically, we have 3 more shows this month, and then
we got a packed weekend. We got a packed weekend coming up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. But yeah, of course, we'll keep you guys informed as things are going. We are planning to have Matt Brown on the show. I talked to him last week, I believe, and he is down to be on the show in late April, early May. So we might catch him, right as the trailer drops or before the trailer drops. So maybe we can provide some more information for you guys then. But that is then. This is now. Let's talk Sunday, March 31st. So Texas women lose to NC State 76-66. Madison Booker 17.6 rebounds. What are your thoughts on that game? Did you get a chance to watch the full game?
Yeah, I watched.
What are your thoughts?
Shockingly enough, they kind of play like the men in some aspects. I just think that there was some shots that were kind of forced. I don't think Madison Booker really got an opportunity to get her rocks off until the second half.
I felt like she was very passive the entire game.
Right.
She was trying to get everybody else involved, and I don't think she really tried to take over until it was too late.
Right.
Texas really never got to they might have gotten to within 4, maybe once.
4 or 5. But it was very sparing.
But yeah, kudos to NC State. And hey, look, NC State's basketball program, men and women, NC State and UConn right now are the top tier of college basketball, right? Both men and women's programs getting into the Final Four. that's not an easy feat, right? It's hard for one of them to get in, but to have both your men's and your women's team in the Final Four at the same time is insane. So kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Madison Booker was very passive the entire game. I thought it was the first time all season that, and it wasn't just the Elite Eight; it was also the Sweet 16. Like I feel like as soon as she got to, I don't know if there was a time zone thing, but as soon as she got to Portland, it's like things changed, and she played. It felt like she was playing different.
Right.
Wasn't the Madison Booker, and she also couldn't really find her shot. She really relies a lot on the mid range.
Yeah.
And I just don't feel like she ever found her shot.
Yeah.
Shaylee Gonzalez, who I love. I think Shaylee Gonzalez is a baller.
Mm-hmm.
Also, she was great in the Elite Eight in the Sweet 16 game, but she struggled in the Elite Eight game. And again, it's not like NC State was doing anything crazy. They just couldn't get shots to fall, and when you aren't getting that done, and the other team is, they toasted us. What was her name? Ariana James. Finishes with Isaiah James. Finished with 27, but she had like 21 in the first half.
Yeah.
What did you think about the shortness of the courts on side?
I was just about to say that. I got to give credit where credit is due. If I was the head coach of a basketball team and I was the number one seed, and I knew I was going up against a tough opponent like NC State, we've talked about NC State from men's and women's throughout our coverage of the tournament. We've talked about both of them ad nauseum on how they're both tough. There's no way, absolutely no way, in my opinion, I'm stepping out on the court. I'm having my girls out on the court, and there's a 9-inch difference between both 3-point shooting lines. There's no way I'm stepping out on the court like that.
Yeah, but both teams get the disadvantage, right? Because you get it at now. Isaiah James, funnily enough, she struggled in the second half, and that's the half that she was on the short side of the court. She was overshooting everything, right?
Right.
So I mean, I don't think at the end of the day, because both teams struggle on that side of the court, I don't think that really made that big of a difference.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I just don't understand the magnitude of these games. These games this tournament alone makes billions of dollars, men's and women's, right? They make a lot of money. And for you, and again, it's nothing against the committee, but it's just like, how do you allow two teams to play in a major game like this? How do you allow that to happen?
Yeah.
I
can see that.
Yeah, to me, I was like, this is too. That's like, imagine if Washington and Texas played, and Washington's end zone was 5 yards deeper.
Right.
That's
a big advantage. Well, in football, in a game of possessions and a game of field position and needing the ball to be inside. I think that's a little bit different, right?
It is different, but I'm just thinking about like the nature of the game. Like if this was a regular expedition game, I probably wouldn't care, because you still got next week depending on where you're at in the season. But when it comes to a game that's got like a trip to the Final Four,
on the line,
that doesn't look good. And the crazy thing is, they were able to fix it within less than 24 hours. There's some panels out there that they could have ran up to that court, fixed it, and gone about their business. I don't necessarily know how long it takes to fix a court. I've seen a court being put together. It's actually very cool how they put a court together. They can piece a court together very quickly. So I don't know, man. I just think of a game of that magnitude. And like you said, both teams do get an opportunity to play at that point, on that side of the court. But just clearly we didn't take advantage of it too long.
Yeah, I mean, so Texas has 14 turnovers. I think that's the bigger piece. If you're turning the ball over 14 times, it doesn't matter what side of the court you shoot on. You're not gonna get an opportunity to shoot regardless.
Right.
I felt like they had a lot of careless turnovers, which is very, again, Madison Booker in this game showed us that she was a freshman, right? Zaya James showed us she was a senior.
Right.
With that being said, she's a junior. With that being said, as we look at this season and what this team has overcome to get to this point, yeah, I'm sure it's disappointing. Third straight Elite Eight, and we just couldn't get it done.
Right.
Some might think, hey, is there a barrier here that Vic Schaefer has? And I don't think there is. I think next year you bring in Rory Harmon. I think Rory Harmon and Madison Booker is going to be the best backcourt in the nation next year. I cannot think of a backcourt that's going to be better. This is going to be a very good team next year.
Oh, well, no. Well, Flage and Michaela out in LSU, they might rival that. I think they would ride.
I can ride with it. I don't know if it's better. I mean, Flage is good. She's very good, but I haven't seen this Michaela girl.
She's really good too. She's a freshman. Flage being a sophomore, and Michaela being I forget what her last name is, but Michaela being a freshman, that's going to be a really, really, really good backcourt, and I look forward to seeing them again. Like we stated a couple weeks ago, I could quickly see this LSU Texas thing becoming something, especially if Texas is able to compete, in which I feel like they will be able to compete, in the SEC. With the team that they currently have, I feel like they'll be able to make a really good push. I don't expect them to go undefeated, but I don't see them being a pushover either. I definitely see them being one of the top contenders as we go into the SEC from a women's basketball perspective.
Yeah, as the SEC and women's basketball is going to be very, very interesting next year.
That might be the
add
most
Texas to it. Add LSU to it. Oklahoma's no slouch either.
No, not at all. Yeah, Oklahoma, they do have players, and they do make noise on the women's side of basketball for sure.
Michaela Williams. She's a 6-foot guard. That's insane for a 6-foot guard. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess heading into the offseason, I think the number one priority for Vic Schaefer, and I think he knows this, is to get some shooters. Right. If you can surround Madison Booker,
they play really good defense.
Yeah, Rory Harmon with some shooters. I think this team's going to do very well next year. Obviously, looking at the basketball roster for next year, we know that there's a couple ladies. Shaylee Gonzalez has entered the NBA draft, or the WNBA draft, excuse me.
Right.
Deanna Gaston, I know she's a senior. I don't know if she's entered the draft or not. I'm assuming no, because I didn't hear anything of her.
Yeah. Most of the people that have the big dogs have announced.
Have already committed. I didn't see Shay Holly enter the draft, and she's a very good defender. We'll lose her. Amina Muhammad comes back. Khadija Faye, she's going to be out. She's a senior. And really, that's really what you got, right? You got Winantando, who's coming back. She's a sophomore guard, 6'2" guard. She's big. That's Taylor Jones. Taylor Jones is somebody that was missed. She didn't, and she's 6'4".
Right.
So she really Texas had a size advantage throughout that game, but I think Taylor Jones would have really been able to use that size advantage. And I think she was hurt or something happened to her, and she really didn't play all that much. And I think that really impacted what Texas wanted to do, because this is not a deep shooting team, right?
No,
this is not a team that shoots the ball a lot. It's not a team that takes a lot of threes. It's a defensive, grinded out type of team.
Right.
They're going to shoot a lot of mid range. They're going to try to get the ball down low. And I think fundamentally hopefully that will change next year with some shooters and give this team some versatility.
Yeah. I look forward to it. Man, I will say this has been really, really fun keeping up with the women's team. The women's team has been really, really great. Not to discount the men's team. I think the men's team had, I feel like they have some key pieces, ready to go. I do think that the women are a little bit ahead. However, just with the team and how it's constructed,
Yeah.
And I really look forward to seeing again that LSU playing against the LSU's, playing against the Tennessees. We get to play Rick Barnes, man. We get to play.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
We get to play the Floridas. We get to play Arkansas. A lot of those games that we would see the Big 12 versus SEC tournament challenge. That's going to be a normal for us now.
Yeah,
so, I'm really looking forward to that, man. Really,
it's going to get very interesting to see how recruiting changes with the SEC in basketball specifically.
Right.
Because there's a lot of good schools there, but nothing beats Big 12 basketball. I'm sorry. There nothing beats Big 12 basketball.
I was going to ask you that before we close out. Who do you think, men's and women's, who do you think has the best conference going into next year?
I still think the Big 12 on the men's side is the best.
Okay.
On the women's side, I guess you could say SEC.
I would say
you can't say the Pac-12 anymore, but that was a pretty competitive conference. Yes. The SEC is obviously top heavy with LSU, South Carolina. You add Texas to that, you've got a solid mid tier, right? You add Oklahoma. You've got
Tennessee.
Tennessee is of course a historical program. So I think you've got a solid baseline in the SEC on the women's side. So I would probably say the SEC on the women's side.
That's fair.
The Big Ten kind of has fallen off on the men's side. They were once known as like one of the best basketball conferences, but they've kind of fallen off. But they're adding some new blood too, right? You add USC, UCLA. They're adding some schools. ACC on the men's side, I think was underrated this year. I didn't think the ACC was that good, but they obviously came in the tournament, performed very well.
They did really, really well. They showed out this year.
Yeah,
which
you had SMU.
I definitely thought so for sure.
SMU you add a team like you add a school like SMU to ACC. SMU is a team to watch out for, man. Listen, if you guys remember the 80s when SMU was really paying players on the table, they've got money, bro. And they are smack dab right in the middle of Dallas.
Right. So you got Skyline, Garland, DeSoto,
Duncanville, Red Oak.
Yeah, like
Stock. You've got. I mean, they've got choices, right?
And they got talent. You start. SMU is a sleeper on both ends, on football and basketball.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you keep a majority of those top players in Dallas, it's gonna get very interesting. Now, I don't think it happens immediately, but over time, as they continue, they have an NIL collective. I guarantee you, they are ready to roll. Right,
they have been preparing their way back to the Power Five for a long time.
Man, you make me want to start up a dynasty right quick with.
I mean, SMU wouldn't be a bad dynasty to start up, right?
Yeah.
That's probably one of the Sam Houston State's another one. If they're going to start getting going and they can get some funding, that's another. There's a lot of schools in state on both the men's and the women's side if they can appropriately invest in NIL that are going to be very dangerous, just because it's just where they are geographically. But we'll see as things start to come on. There's some ladies that are hitting the transfer portal. And we'll see who's out there.
Some big names hitting the transfer.
Yeah, obviously Van Lith is one that's out there. I don't know if she's a fit for Texas. I don't think she fits what they're trying to fill gaps with. She's a big name that's out there.
By Caitlin Clark.
Well, she got cooked by Caitlin Clark because her coach didn't change anything. Hey, I mean, literally for a whole 2 minutes straight, Caitlin's like, "Wait, she's guarding me again? Oh, okay, no problem." And she hit like 4 straight threes.
Cooked her. Golly, man,
that's like putting Jalen Brunson on Steph Curry.
Right.
Basically, is what happened.
Right. Yeah.
Shout out to Jalen Brunson, 61 points, losing to the worst team in the league. GG's, bro. Should have stayed in Dallas. Anyway,
you constantly taking shots, dog.
Hey, man, you got to go with the flow of the conversation.
If I have the soundboard, I would hit this.
You just got to go with the flow of the conversation.
Man, all right.
All right, let's talk spring ball.
Let's do it.
So we are about 2 weeks in for spring ball. Sark had a press conference yesterday. It really just kind of talked about. I listened to it this morning. He just kind of talked about what they're working on right now, right? A lot of very still basics, installing the system to the new guys, getting the new guys situated, and all that good stuff. Talked about some guys that have stood out over the past couple of weeks. Ryan Wingo is a guy that came out, which is very interesting, very exciting. Over the last couple of weeks, I've heard DeAndre Moore's name come out as somebody that's being a standout, and Matthew Golden is somebody that's been basically exactly what they thought he was going to be. They think he's going to be a huge playmaker in the system for this program this year. So some really interesting takes. If there is a position that you are hoping to hear something about positively, what position would that have been?
Well, hearing about the wide receiver core is great because of what we've lost so far, right? We've lost Xavier Worthy, we've lost Adonai Mitchell. So it's cool to hear that there are young players stepping up. We got freshmen stepping up that are looking good, and that's especially from Sark. I don't feel like Sark is the mysterious type of guy. Like I don't feel like he gives off like Phil Jackson vibes or Nick Saban vibes. He's very like to the point, right? Like I feel like he doesn't like sugarcoat anything. So if he says, "Hey, this player's doing really, really good,"
yeah,
it means something, right? So it is good to hear that Moore's doing well. It is good to hear about Brian Wingo doing well. And it just shows, hopefully that's the start of hearing, about Arch, hearing about Quinn, those guys developing a relationship with those receivers, man. So I'm really excited to hear about that.
Talking about Quinn, right? He talked about Xavier Worthy and kind of compared Quinn's third year to Xavier Worthy's third year, right? Quinn, played well, had some injury issues, and then he referenced back to Xavier's freshman year, how he played really, really well, and then he came back in year 2, and there's kind of like a little slump. Mentions the broken hand, and then last year was absolutely electric, right?
Right.
And he's hoping that Quinn has the same type of year 3, and that's the expectation, and that's what I've been telling you guys. Tim and I both have been saying, look, I really think Quinn's going to put it all together this year. After everything from his freshman year, as whatever, really like high school senior / freshman year, kind of put together, missing, basically not playing for 2 years, having some injury issues, the end of his junior year, and then not playing his senior year because he ends up graduating early. That 2 years without football is a lot of time, right? If you guys do anything and you go, let's just say you, I don't know, play the guitar, right? And I could be totally off on this comparison. So if I am, just follow me here. Just listen, right? If you go 2 years without playing the guitar, right? The first time you start getting back on that guitar, it's going to take you a second to get your chops back together, right? And that's basically what it is. Now, obviously, football's a little bit different because on the guitar, you play, you hear things, you hear chords, you hear tunes. You've got to retune your ear to listen to what's flat, what's sharp, all that musical nonsense gibberish in there, right? For Quinn, it's kind of the same thing, right? He's got, not only is he having to like rework his body and just naturally playing football, he's also learning a brand new system. He's really learning it on the fly.
Right.
He gets here for spring training, for spring camp, but everything that year was just kind of like you're still in the middle of kind of like towards the end of COVID stuff, but not really. There's still some things. So there's a lot going on that freshman.
You still got to build relationships with your offensive players.
Build relationships. The roster was still uneasy in 2022. If you guys look at, this team is coming off of a 5-7 season in 2021. And you just don't know what you have, right? So you're going into that 2022 season and still trying to figure it out, right? And I do think Quinn took a huge step last year. I thought he was very good last year. He missed 2.5 games.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Quinn took a step in the direction of like letting people know and letting the team know, like, I'm that guy. I'm the guy. And so, like, you can see it in his confidence, like you can see it in his play. Like, you could just it just kind of showed up, you know. I wouldn't say that was just I wouldn't say that was a thing the first year that he was playing. Like, we were kind of we didn't know what to expect to Quinn.
We were excited. We just didn't know because it's been so long.
No idea. One, he just skated off to Ohio State, grabbed $1 million. He just kind of showed up out of nowhere. Like, he just magically appeared one day.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to UT. I think he commits in like late December.
I don't remember hearing any reports or rumors about Quinn deciding to leave Ohio State.
Well, it's one of those things where it's like Texas probably knew that something might have been happening, right?
Right.
And they did this with Matthew Golden this year. Did it with AD Mitchell last year. Came out of nowhere. Nobody knew.
That was crazy.
It literally was like AD Mitchell goes to the portal, and the next day he's at Texas.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of these things we're going to shape out. I think Texas knows. It makes me think Texas knows who they want.
Right.
And once they start to hear rumblings,
right.
There's rumblings that there's a defensive tackle that is instant impact worthy that's going to be there in the spring portal right after spring practices.
Really?
So potentially from Michigan. So Texas knows these things, and I think, and you know, when you think about some of the guys that were out there in the wide receiver class this year, right? Deion Burks, Juice Wells, they didn't go after those guys. No. But as soon as Matthew Golden hit the portal, instantly it becomes a long one. So they know. So it's like they either know something or they're thinking they have something in their mind, and as they start to hear things, they know when to attack. So, and Sark, he mentions it. He talks about being intentional in the transfer portal. He's looking for specific types of guys. You only go to the transfer portal to bring guys in that can be instant impacts. That's if you want to build somebody. If you want to develop somebody, then you recruit somebody you develop.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But yeah, another name that's another couple of names that have stuck out. Christian Clark, running back, freshman, has apparently turned a lot of heads and has looked very good. Obviously, we know who our 1-2s are going to be, but if you look at that third between him and Jarrett Gibson and that battle there, it looks like Christian Clark is really sticking out. Let's see. Trey Bledsoe, somebody that looks really well. I think defensive tackle is still a spot that's still up in the air. There's a lot of guys, right? But nobody's really grabbed it by the Bulls by the horn yet and said, "Yep, I'm going to be this guy." Like, there's not that Byron Murphy, T'Vondre Sweat type guy yet. It's early, right? I mean, you still got a whole 2 more weeks of practice. You have they'll have a scrimmage tomorrow, right? As part of the visits, and we'll talk about the visits. But there's still some guys that are out there. Colin Simmons is being compared to Anthony Hill last year. Looks like they're moving him a lot around the line. He's playing in different spaces. Trey Morris standing up a little bit and playing stand up, kind of like a blitzing linebacker, I guess you could say. So there's some guys that are show outs and a guys are show out. Kind of like you mentioned earlier, Sark isn't hiding anything. No. If he mentions a player's name 8, 9, 10 times, look out for that guy because he's making an impact and he's making a visible impact. Or Sark wouldn't have mentioned him. I think they're still waiting on Malik Muhammad to return from injury. Sorry.
Shout out to Nova.
But Malik Muhammad looks like he's been dressed, but he still hasn't really worked up to being completely healthy.
Right.
And then Yeah, and again, Ryan Wingo and Matthew Golden are two guys that are really sticking out. Jalen Gilbo, it looks like he might be starting to get healthy, and he's been mentioned a couple of times, so that's really good.
Right.
Yeah, and the safety group, Andrew Makuba, looks like
he's the guy.
let's see, the same. Let's see. Looks like he's playing most of safety alongside Derek Williams.
Okay.
Jelani McDonald's getting some look. And Jordan and JJR, Jordan Johnson Rubel, the freshman,
Right.
looks like he's rolling really well. All guys looks like at their hips and driving their feet on contact against the tackling bag, sent down to a rail to mimic open field tackles. McDonald is currently listed as the fourth string nickel. No, he was listed as the fourth string nickel last season, but he's currently playing safety. So that's something to keep an eye out on.
Right.
And we'll be at the spring game in a couple weeks, so we'll look for these things, but these are just things to look out for. Savea is another guy that's kind of gotten some snaps at that, not the nose tackle, but the defensive tackle side of the ball. So I think that's pretty much. And again, the state of Texas, the University of Texas, especially their football program, only allows even media to be in on like certain portions. Like they're not going to entire practices, right? There might be a 4-hour practice, but the media is only there for like 30 minutes.
Right. They don't see.
They're not going to see all of it. So this is based on observations in those 30-minute sessions that they're getting, or maybe hour sessions.
We will have way more observation during spring ball.
Oh yeah.
Spring ball. Spring ball usually lasts about 2 hours on a normal,
give or take, hour and a half, 2 hours.
You get to go in, watch the team as they do drills and things of that nature. It's basically an open practice. The amount of players, amount of people that was there last year versus the amount of people that's going to be here this year.
This year's going to be insane. If you're going to go again, it's going to be March 20th, 1:30, I believe.
April 20th,
1:30. So definitely, if you're going to go, you're going to have to get out there early. First year in the SEC, coming off of a playoff appearance, the hype is real right now. So if you're going to be there, you're going to have to get there. I'm sure Bevo Boulevard's going to be open probably around 11 a.m. And as we see those details, we'll let you guys know on our show, because we'll have a show the Thursday before the spring game Saturday. So, but that's really all we've got. The next big thing. Any more closing thoughts on that before we wrap up with recruiting?
No. It's gonna be very interesting again to see those guys as they get prepared for the spring ball, and I expect to see a little bit more. They've given us glimpses, they've given us clips, and so that's all we really got to eat off of. We really don't have much to eat off of until we see that spring game.
Yeah, Alex January is another guy that's been mentioned, the freshman from Duncanville.
Okay.
So
the Duncanville players, man, listen, the Duncanville players,
they're built different, bro.
They're built different, dog. The Dallas football players in general.
He is currently listed at 6'5", 325. And he's just a freshman. So
that's crazy.
Alrighty, Tim. Let's talk about recruiting. Lots of recruits coming in this week. I think there's 20 between combined 5-star and 4-star guys. There's about 20 recruits coming in. Obviously, KJ Lacey is going to be here this week.
Right.
Tried to find a list earlier. I couldn't, but I found one now. And I forgot some guys that we talked about pre-show. Jordan Davison, the running back out of Santa Ana, Amato Day, right? Will be here. He's expected to have an official visit in June.
Okay.
But he will also be here for an unofficial visit this weekend.
Which is always good. It's always good to be there on an unofficial visit. And for those who don't necessarily know, unofficial visits are basically, hey, we scheduled you to come out June, but you want to come out, you want to see the spring game. Basically, like that's not on Texas. Texas didn't reach out and say, hey, we want you to come to our spring game. That was something that a player decided to do on their own.
Okay. So he basically is like, hey, I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Now, does he necessarily tell Texas that he'll be there? It's just he just kind of says, "I'm showing up."
He tells Texas. He says, "Hey, I want to come to the spring game." Cool.
Okay.
You'll because remember, you only get so many official visits.
Right.
You don't get like an unlimited amount of official visits. So you have your official visits and then your unofficial visits. They'll still get the red carpet laid out for them, but I think you have 3 official visits, if I'm not mistaken, that you get. You get 2 in off, and I think during, or maybe 2 during and 1 off. I can't remember. All right. Your camera just went out, my man. There we go.
Sorry, I had to yawn. I didn't want to yawn in your face.
Yeah. But I'm just that's a big thing to say, hey, like I want to come and watch, even when we're not like I want to come and watch on my own accord.
Yeah, for sure. We got a comment here from Gray Man. Hey man, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hey man, sure. Gray Man. Prove me wrong. Blue is the best running back on the team.
I agree.
I would say so. I think if we're looking at complete back, I would say Jaden Blue is the best running back on the team. Currently, just because he's the best running back in our eyes doesn't mean he's the best running back in Sark's eyes. Remember, Steve Sarkisian is trying to fit these guys into a type of system that he's trying to run. We know of Sark's obsession with CJ Baxter from last season, right?
A damn good running back.
And he's a very good running back. I don't think we really got to. While I would agree he might be the best running back on the team right now, I think in the Washington game, CJ Baxter was the best running back that day.
I think he was. I'm going to go on a limb. I know this sounds crazy. I think he was the best running back on the field for both teams.
Yes. No, I would agree.
Yeah.
Yes, he was the best running back on the field that day.
Yeah, he was thumping. He was running behind.
He looked healthy, and if he can build off of that, then I think Blue and him. I think as a pure runner, I don't think Jaden Blue is a better running back than CJ Baxter. If we're talking about being a receiving back,
I think Jaden Blue is a really good. He's a speed back for sure.
Yeah, now, I think he's more versatile as well.
We don't know what Jaden Blue could turn into Jonathan Brooks just like that, just with development. We don't know. Sure. But if we're basing it just off of last year, I think Jaden Blue currently, right now,
I would agree. But I'm not going to sit there and sleep on CJ Baxter.
You know how I feel about CJ Baxter. I love him.
Yeah.
But Jaden Blue has looked really good over the season.
I would agree, but I'm not going to sit there and sleep on CJ Baxter.
Me neither.
Because I think a healthy CJ Baxter. I think we have yet to see a healthy CJ Baxter.
I think we have yet to see the best of CJ Baxter for sure.
I
think we've yet to see the best of Jaden Blue. I think both of them have their own elements in some way that they have to offer up to this team. I think Jaden Blue has the potential to hit the big play, right?
Yep.
I think he has that. I also believe that CJ Baxter is going to be a workhorse. I think he will be, in the long run, I think he will eventually become the starter. But I would not be surprised if in a SEC season, I would not be surprised if we see Jaden Blue with more touchdowns.
And let me know your thoughts on it. When I look at CJ Baxter, he reminds me a lot of Chris Warren as far as like how he's built.
Mm-hmm. He's tall.
Chris Warren, he's tall, he's big.
Mm-hmm.
He's a power runner.
Right. Yeah,
he runs very hard. But he reminds me a lot of Chris Warren.
This is gonna sound nuts that I'm making the comparison, but just on the style of running, if you go and look at him, CJ Baxter reminds me a lot of Adrian Peterson. The way he runs, the way he runs with he looks for contact. He's also very tall. He's tall. Adrian Peterson's 6 foot. I think he's 6 foot, maybe 6'1". But when you look at him in the game, he's not he looks bigger than everybody. He just has this presence of being bigger. But when he runs straight up. You don't really see him. I wouldn't call him a stiff runner, but he's just he's like
he's a big guy.
He's
just a big guy.
He's a bigger back.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Yeah, for sure. I could see that. But if we're talking about like Texas running backs, he reminds you of Chris Warren is definitely the first one that comes to mind for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but appreciate that comment, Gray Man. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So KJ Lacey will be in town this week.
Yep.
Troy Hunn will be in town, who's the 26 quarterback out of California, Mission Hills. Aaron Davison, who's the guy that's also being heavily recruited by Michigan and Ohio State.
Yes.
At one point, it looked like Texas might be the front runner for him, but I'm looking. I heard today that Michigan and Ohio State are really making a push. He's the 4-star guy out of Mater Dei.
Right.
He's also expected to have his official visit on the 21st. Ricky Stewart, who's the running back out of Chapel Hill.
Wait, 21st of
Tyler?
21st of June. Okay.
Which is basically the first period after spring practice. I think players can take official visits.
Right.
Rayson Guillory, who I think is already committed to Texas, will be the running back out of Aledo. Will be here. Will be in town. DeCorian Moore, of course. DeCorian Moore is the big one. He's currently committed to LSU. For those of you guys that don't know, he is the guy that's he's the big fish in Texas, right? He's the best wide receiver in Texas. He's the guy that can come in and be the number one receiver right away.
I believe so.
He is that talented. If you have not seen DeCorian Moore play, go watch him. DeCorian Moore. That dude is a beast.
That dude is special, and he's
fast, and he's really fast.
He can jump. He's got crazy handles when it comes to getting around people. He can accelerate. He can stop, start, cut. Whatever you want him to do, he can do it.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. So if you've never seen DeCorian Moore play, go watch DeCorian Moore play because that guy can ball. Jamie French with 2 Fs, the guy wide receiver out of Jacksonville. He is scheduled to be in town. I think that Jacksonville connection has to do with Chris Johnson. So shout out to him or Chris Jackson. Khalid Clockett, who's also, I think either the number 2 or the number 3 receiver in the class,
right? Out
of Sashi, be in town, as well as Kelshawn Johnson out of Hitchcock.
Now
that guy is a very heavy Texas lean already.
He is fast.
Yeah, he's very good. Very, very good.
He's fast. That dude is quick with it, and that would be great to see. To have some speed on the field, again, Moore, he's an all-around guy, but this Kelshawn Johnson is a straight up speed demon.
Yeah, you talk about a guy that can I'm not saying he's Xavier Worthy, but he's not. But if you think about Kelshawn Johnson, what Xavier Worthy did against OU his freshman year, he's got that type of speed. That a guy that can come in and do something like that. There's 20 guys. I'm not going to go through all 20 because honestly, I don't know about all 20. So I'll go through some of the main ones. Lamont Rogers, offensive tackle out of Mesquite. He will be in town this week. His official visit is also June 14th.
Right.
So he will officially be in June, but he will be here next week as well. There's some 3-star guys that'll be here. Zion Williams, the defensive lineman out of Lufkin.
Right.
Will be in town.
Lufkin land. Shout out to the Panthers.
DJ Sanders, who's the number 1 defensive lineman in the state out of Belleville, is scheduled to be in town. I think he's also got some interest from A&M, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, as much as we all hate A&M because they suck,
they
bring in defensive line
really well. They do it really
well. They recruit defensive line very well, and they not only do they recruit them well, they develop them really well too. They've put some guys in the league on the defensive line, so that's definitely somebody to look out for. That's a huge get for Texas. We talk about defensive tackle help, defensive line help. That's a big get for Texas. His official visit is also June 21st to 23rd.
That June 21st is that I can't remember what it's called, but it's a big time. God, man, I forget what it's called, but it's basically like this Friday Night Lights type situation.
Isn't that is that the pool party weekend?
Basically,
No, I think the pool party is like closer to the season, right? Or is it closer? Oh, it might be. I don't remember.
but yeah, it's this big Friday Night Lights thing. They invite all the big dogs, right? So that's when that first official weekend opens, mid-June, like you said, June 21st. That's when that weekend is going to start. I believe that's a Friday.
Yep.
And they have just a ton of things. They'll open up practice to let the team watch some practice. I believe there's a scrimmage on that weekend as well, usually. And they just roll out the big stars. Like we didn't mention it, but Travis Scott, he was there yesterday as he launched merch with the University of Texas. I love Travis Scott as an artist. His merch, not too much. I do love his shoes.
Quick side show. Did you know Travis Scott went to UTSA for a year?
Yeah.
I was 2 years old. I found that out yesterday and I had no idea.
Yeah, his I want to say
he was a music major.
He dropped out of Texas too, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he was a music major at UTSA. And he dropped out to go pursue his career that he had.
Kanye. That's what it was. Dropped out of UTSA to go work with Kanye, which is crazy. But yeah,
which is insane.
Yeah. So,
this is what's interesting. Matai Tagovailoa, the linebacker that just committed to USC maybe yesterday or a couple days ago, is actually still honoring his official visit in June 21st. So, listen, this is why we say never, ever, ever. These April, May, and I tweeted about this a couple days ago. If you're celebrating recruit commitments in April and May, don't stop.
Stop it.
I mean, even like June, July is still kind of like. I would say I wouldn't celebrate a recruiting like lock unless it's like late August or early August, late July, early August, because players. There are some players that are like, look, I want to get this done with before the season starts, so I can go focus on my senior year. Right. Also, these juniors that commit early. I mean, we just had a decommitment from Williams, right? The linebacker, and it turns out he really never wanted to come to Texas. It was weird. A lot of people found it strange that he even committed to Texas. So it's not surprising.
Where did he really wanted to go?
I would have to see. Anthony Williams. I think he's also Deuce Williams. Oh, well, I should probably put linebacker. Let's see. He's a Shadow Creek 3-star linebacker. Looks like he has maybe A&M. I think is something that's somewhere that he's probably interested in going. He has official visits set up. Well, he's got two unofficials. One this tomorrow with A&M, and then one next week with Florida.
Okay.
And he's a linebacker from Texarkana, Pleasant Grove. Or sorry, linebacker from Cedar Creek.
Right.
Shadow Creek. So again, it was a surprise that he committed in the first place. So we'll see what ends up happening with them.
It was a surprise to me that he committed, but it was also a surprise that he decommitted. Anthony Williams, I remember, it was either Anwar or Chip, where they talked about how that was just like not necessarily a strange pick, but they just didn't see it on the radar.
Yeah, it was random, right?
Right.
Just one of those that they weren't really expecting to happen, and it kind of happened. So,
right.
And my picture is frozen. Up there I am. Hello. So yeah, I mean, so that's not surprising. And then of course the big fish, the big dog, the best linebacker in the state, Jonah Williams will be. This is the one that everybody's watching, right? Jonah Williams is a guy. A couple months ago, there was zero shot Jonah Williams had at coming to Texas.
Right.
Absolutely no shot. And And there's a sense of hope today or this weekend that if he has a good visit and he says, "Hey, yeah, I'll definitely be back in June for a visit," that Texas could flip this. I mean, it's been leaning very heavily Oklahoma for a very long time. And if this flips Texas from Oklahoma, this is huge
What do
for
you
this
think?
recruiting class.
What do you think before we close out? What do you think it's going to take to flip Williams?
I think you've got to be able to. Honestly, I don't know because I don't know why he's leaning so heavily A&M to begin with, right? Is it
not Williams? I'm sorry, not Jonah.
Yeah. Jonah Williams. I don't know because he was leaning heavily A&M. Or sorry, Oklahoma, very heavily Oklahoma. So I think it goes to how he's being used. Does he fit in the scheme? And I think, talking to guys like Anthony Hill and his ability to come in and play immediately, play time is probably something else that probably factors into that. How early am I going to be able to play? And look, Sark doesn't favor anybody. If you're performing well, he will let you play. Right. Hell, Anthony Williams played last year. Kelvin Banks came in and started as a freshman. Right. Colin Simmons is probably going to come in and play. And I think he's coming in at a spot at a position of need for Texas. Mm-hmm. Especially he'll be in next year. So it would be Anthony Hill's junior year, and you just kind of hope. And really this year, linebacker is a question for this team because outside of Anthony Williams or Anthony Hill, we don't know what's going to happen at linebacker.
Right.
David Benda, you've got Blackshire, Kendall Blackshire from the Alabama transfer, but we don't really know who's that other guy on the linebacking core that's going to help bring something in. So Jonah Williams could come in and play for this team next year.
You think Jonah Williams, if he comes in, he commits, do you think he's a day one starter?
Yes, 100%. That
something they got.
When you talk about linebacker instincts, Jonah Williams is a guy he's got great instincts.
I think that's something you got to sell as a program, right? Hey, look, sure. we've got talent here, but we feel like if they feel this way, because again, we don't know what Sark is actually thinking, or what the defensive coordinator is thinking. So that could be a thing like, hey, listen, we feel like you can make a great impact here. We feel like you can, maybe they say, hey, we feel like you can make a great impact instantly. Come and join us. We feel like you can make a great impact instantly. You join Anthony Hill and y'all anchor down the defense for us, like in the middle,
Yeah, you're gonna need good linebacking plays. So that's probably the angle that I play. Now you think about, I think it's very important to add, some of these guys that are good at recruiting guys to talk to Jonah. I've heard Jalen Gilbo is a guy that's very charismatic. He's a guy that does very well with recruits. So maybe you pair him up with him. And again, he's also a linebacker, right? So, right. I mean, you've got guys, you probably need to bring in Jeff Banks. But again, it's an unofficial visit. I think this unofficial visit, their coaches really aren't involved a lot. I think you've got to get some of these guys that are not coaches, some players to help him buy in so that he does. If he can come in I feel like if he can come in for an official visit,
right,
in June, I think Texas can flip that commitment.
Okay.
So this weekend's very important. So we'll keep you guys updated on the recruiting front. That's all we've got for the show today.
I have one last question. It's just a simple yes or no. Do you think after this weekend that we get any recruits to commit this weekend? Any major recruits?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think if there was one, you might get like Kelshawn Johnson because I think he's already a very heavy Texas.
That's who I was thinking.
Right.
If he's already leaning, I think this could be the tipping point.
There's some rumors that DeCorian Moore could decommit after this weekend if things go well. And I think in DeCorian Moore's
don't get my hopes up. Don't get my hopes
up. Yeah. Again, I don't know. This is just what I've been reading. I don't have any sources. This is just what I read, just on Texas and Orange Bloods, and if things go well this weekend, then I think you could see a decommitment from DeCorian Moore from LSU.
Man, LSU's got a vice grip on some of our players. Man, It's just rough.
It's interesting. So we'll see what happens. We'll have an update next week on how things go, and I'm sure you guys will see things play out.
Yep.
But we've got to get out of here. I know the women's Final Four has already started. Before we get out of here, though, Tim, where can the people find you?
Find me at Tim Wayne. Let's talk sports, baby. Tell me who you rooting for. Tell me what you got going. Like I said, we're less than a month from the college football EA Sports college football trailer. Let's talk money. Let's talk football, dog. Let's do it.
And you can find me at the Uncle Gandhi. Early on, NC State is up 7-5 on South Carolina. Upset alert. But yeah, you find me at the Uncle Gandhi. You can find us both at LH Fan Battle and of course on TikTok. Between now and next week, we'll see you guys later. Take care. Peace.
Joe Gabriel.
Go home.